Today, I'm going to show you how to rekey Taymor's Professional Series Crossflow and Pace line levers. First, I'm going to walk you through the tools you need to do the job. The first tool is a complete keying kit with pins to rekey the lock. You'll also need a pair of pliers, a follower bar, an awl or some other pointy tool to take the lock apart with, a hex key, and the key that's supplied with the lock. Now we're ready to take the lock apart. Hold the lock in your hand, locate the hole where there's a hex key grub screw located, put the hex key that comes with the lock into the hole, and turn it counterclockwise. Keep turning it until you feel gentle resistance. Remove the hex key. Now you can slide the lever off the lock, like this. Sometimes the cylinder and plug remains in the body of the lock, and sometimes it remains in the lever, like so. Either way, you simply remove the cylinder and plug. Now we're ready to replace the pins and rekey this lock. This is the key the lock came with. It turns the lock. The first step is to remove the circlip from the back of the plug. Take your awl and insert it into the back of the circlip and gently pry the circlip off of the lock, like so. Put the circlip to one side and put the awl to one side. Now I want to talk about a feature these locks have that's different than the rest of Taymor locks. Beneath this dimple here, there is a ball bearing and spring. The ball bearing and spring help to keep the lock operating smoothly. Don't worry if you lose the ball bearing and spring, the lock will still operate. We do recommend you replace it for the best long-term operation. So now I'm going to remove this ball bearing and spring. I like to use a roll of tape or a piece of soft cloth to catch the ball bearing and spring when they come out. So I'm going to aim them down towards my table here, turn the lock slightly, and gently slide the plug partway out of the lock. There. I've captured the spring and ball bearing. There's the ball bearing and there's the spring. Now we're ready to use our follower bar and push the plug out of the lock gently. There. Set aside the cylinder with the follower bar, and we're going to work just with the plug from here on in. These pins are no longer going to be needed because we're putting new pins in to rekey this lock. Take out the old pins and set them to one side. Take the old key out. I have a new key here, and it's a factory key, so it has pin heights on it. This new key has pin heights of 2, 5, 4, 6, and 1. So I'm going to gather the correct pins and set them on my work cloth here in front of me. If you look carefully at these pins, you can see that one end of the pin is slightly rounded, the other end is flat. The rounded end of the pin is going to go down towards the key. First pin, second pin, third pin, fourth pin, and fifth pin. There, if you look at the lock with the key in it, you can see that the tops of all the pins are nice and flush to the top of the plug. That's how you can visually verify that you have all the right pins in this lock. Now we're ready to slide this gently back through the cylinder. I like to make sure that the tops of my pins and the top pins, which are inside this fin on the cylinder, both have smooth surfaces to run against while I'm pushing the cylinder and plug back together. I'm going to push the cylinder and plug most of the way back together, but not all of the way. The reason I do this is I want to leave this hole exposed so that I can put the spring and ball bearing back in the lock. Now I'm going to put the spring back in the hole, then I'm going to put the ball bearing on top of it, and using my thumb, I will push the ball bearing down into the hole and slide the plug all the way back into the lock. We're almost there. The next step is to put the circlip back onto the back of the lock. The opening in the circlip should be lined up with the flat top of the plug. Using a pair of pliers, gently squeeze the circlip back onto the lock so that it holds firmly. There. Now, the cylinder and plug are ready to use. This is the new key. It goes into the lock and operates the lock. This is the old key, which will go into the lock, but it will not turn the lock. Now that we've rekeyed this cylinder, we're ready to put the lock back together again. If you look at the opening on the lever, you can see there's a channel machined in it. The fin on the cylinder slides into that channel with the portion where the key goes forward. Simply drop it into the lock like so. Next, find the body of the lock, look for the hole with the grub screw, and locate the hole on the lever. Assemble the lock so the hole in the lever is going to line up with the hole with the grub screw. Slide the lever all the way down onto the body of the lock. Next, using the hex key supplied with the lock, insert it into the grub screw and turn it clockwise until you feel gentle resistance. There we go. That's gentle resistance there. Remove the hex key and you can see your lock is ready to install.
Each design has its own unique and timeless appeal. Whether you choose Crossflow or Paceline, these new locks from Taymor will bring a modern Canadian style and a distinguishing finishing touch to your home. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for buying Taymor.